Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the reports that Rishi Sunak did not double down on his trans attacks last week as a result of simply messing up or losing his nerve in the face of some in his party. His own advisors thought it was a stroke of good fortune that the row kicked off, argued that it would be a good line to take, and Rishi Sunak agreed. That makes it much worse. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So let's go over what happened and how it appeared to happen as we could see things from the outside on Wednesday. So at PMQs, Keir Starmer welcomes Esther J, the grieving mother of a murdered trans teenager. A question later, Sunak attacks trans people and trans women specifically. Now, I know that some people, I've had some comments, think, oh, he was just attacking Labour's position or change of position last year, but that is not the case. The 99% line was a specific attack on trans women. I understand that if you haven't been paying attention to the Tory attacks on trans people lately, you might have missed it. But needless to say, actual trans groups, as well as the parents of Brianna J, did not fail to see the attack. So Sunak attacks trans women while the mother of a murdered trans girl is just above him. The suggestion later was that Sunak did not realise she was there. Now, that is possible. But that would then require him to have not been listening to what Keir Starmer was saying when he explained it to the entire House, including the Prime Minister. And if Sunak was not listening to Keir Starmer whilst he was asking him questions, then that sort of gives the game away that he doesn't answer questions, just fires back with pre-scripted, spurious nonsense. But anyway, regardless of whether Sunak was daydreaming or not, he messed up big time. He was called to apologise later in the proceedings. He did not do so. As a result, he made the situation worse. Now, some have said that the reason Sunak couldn't apologise was because the Tories have deliberately made trans issues a main line of attack, a political attack for themselves. I disagree, and for two reasons. First, Rishi Sunak referred to Brianna J as a she. He would not have done that if he was sticking rigidly to the line adopted by the loonies in his party. Second, the Tories attempted to push a number of wedge issues last year, and trans issues was one of them. Attacking trans people, and particularly trans women, was absolutely one of them. But they pushed a number of wedge issues last year, which they have since quietly dropped because they didn't work. Trans issues seem to be one of them. They'd gone a bit quiet on that of late. You know, there's been a clear focus from Tory strategists to shift attention onto economic matters this year. That's what they're trying to push. Economic matters, Labour's spending plans, their own spending plans. We also know that Sunak did not deliberately create this row because they wanted last week to be about Labour's green investment stuff, the U-turn, everything. That particular day, they were trying to attack Labour's plans on insulating homes. Sunak basically overshadowed his party's main message of the week. That wasn't deliberate. But anyway, after PMQ, Sunak met with his advisors. That is normal, even if he hasn't stunk the place out. However, shortly after Sunak's gaffe, Kemi Badenoch tweeted her support for what Sunak had said, really laid it on thick, and actually turned it into an attack on Starmer somehow. So a little later, when Sunak not only continued to refuse to apologise, but even doubled down on the comments, it was supposed that Badenoch had effectively boxed him in and committed him to the line. Note that the same reaction from other Tories, senior Tories, was not the same. Jeremy Hunt was asked about it and he claimed, oh no, Sunak didn't say what you're saying. He blatantly lied about what Sunak had even said. But that is because Hunt recognised he obviously couldn't say the Prime Minister was wrong because the Prime Minister had not at this point apologised. So he can't say Sunak was wrong or he'd have to resign. But also he understood he shouldn't be defending the line because if political wisdom had prevailed, the Prime Minister would be apologising for it later. The following day in Parliament, Penny Mordaunt appeared to suggest that Sunak would be reflecting on what happened. Basically, the experienced and sane Tory MPs were recognising the situation for what it was, a calamitous error from which Sunak really ought to be climbing down from with all haste. But then this weekend, things took a turn for the worst. Alex Wickham of Bloomberg reports that Downing Street aides very quickly agreed that Sunak should double down on the gaffe, because they saw a trans row as politically advantageous. Now, Wickham did also point out that other advisors thought it was a bad idea. One thought it was the worst gaffe in PMQs ever. Another asked why they were picking a fight with the parents of a murdered teenager, because that is what they're effectively doing. That some advisors saw the gaffe for what it was actually makes things worse in a way. Because I've said before, Sunak has no understanding of politics. So it makes sense for him to lean heavily on political advice, right? But I've also said that his advisors are absolutely shocking as well. So what's happened here is Sunak has listened to some people saying, oh, this is a stroke of good fortune. Yeah, we should deliberately attack trans people. That's a good political move. But he's also listened to others saying this is the worst idea ever. And Sunak decided to agree with those who say attack trans people. So now we don't just have a situation whereby Sunak will not apologise for his comments because he's too thin-skinned, or he's afraid of creating an extra row within his party. He's just going to tough it out. But otherwise, he will just hope it blows over before the election. Now, what we have here now is a suggestion that although Sunak created this row accidentally, he may now pursue it as part of a deliberate strategy. Now, we knew the Tories were going to fight a very dirty campaign this year. I said that I expect it to be the dirtiest yet. We also know that the Tories deliberately target vulnerable groups. That's not new. They've been doing that for generations. But this just seems worse somehow because it's not even strategic this time. At the start of the year, we were being told that the party strategists wanted Sunak to deal with the Rwanda bill, the last of the culture wars, and then focus on the economy. They recognised that the culture wars were a dead end, and it's so obvious that they were. The Tories made absolutely no headway in the polls last year, despite pushing the most divisive policies. In fact, I would argue it's made things worse for them. Because whilst the Tories were pushing their culture war agenda last year, Reform UK gained popularity. And I've said before, I think that's because the Tories kept the issue in the mainstream media. So then Reform could paint themselves as, well, we're the ones with the plan. The Conservatives, like they say all these things, but they're failing, right? We've got a plan that will actually deal with it. Sunak would have been better not feeding the fire. Last month, it sounded like that was the plan. Not anymore. Because of one inadvertent row, Sunak may have changed his entire strategy again. It risks leading to more deaths. It will certainly lead to more persecution. And despite all the damage this may do, it won't even help the Tories. It is a line which can only do them any good in the minds of terrible political advisors and an utterly incompetent political leader. In fact, if any good is to come of this, I hope it is that it helps ordinary, decent people see the Tories for what they are and act accordingly in the election. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.